On this week's podcast, we have Dr. Garry Hill coming at us. He is originally from Summersville, Georgia, but now he lives in the big city of, is it Penrod?
Penrod, Kentucky.
Yes, Penrod, Kentucky. He's a minister at Horton Chapel Church of Christ. He's a graduate of Freed-Hardeman, has a doctorate from Liberty University. He's a professor, one of my professors at the Nashville School of Preaching and Biblical Studies, and an instructor at the Asian Christian University. And his specialty is, archaeology and
Bible history.
History.
And apologetics. Yeah.
Very good. So, welcome. You had to drive a long way through traffic to get here. So
yes, I did. Yes,
I appreciate you
coming.
It
was worth it. 2 hours, but it was worth it.
What do you think? What do you think about our college students so far?
I think they're amazing. They're all just super articulate, very smart, and sounds like they enjoy and know all the cool places to eat. I mean, I like them. Yeah.
Too bad Houston can't be here.
Yeah.
Maple Biscuit Company. That's it.
Glad to be with y'all, though.
Well,
very
good.
much so.
And we've got, who else we got here? We got Maggie.
Yeah, Maggie. Hi.
And Jackson.
Hello.
His first time in front of the camera.
Yeah. No, Jackson, you've been over here, haven't you?
Well,
Yeah.
at the table seat.
At the table.
Yeah. I got upgraded this time.
You are moving up rapidly in the world.
Kicked me out of there after I was tapping on the table.
Oh, yeah, you were tapping. Okay. And then the lovely Sydney over here. And Houston's gone.
He's working.
He's working.
Right?
He's a working boy.
I think
Ridiculous.
Houston, you're sitting in Houston's seat, so he just got replaced.
Good.
So, very good.
It's a shame Houston's out here.
So, Maggie, you just got back from, this summer, you spent time in Europe and stuff like that?
I did. I went to Rome, Greece. I saw Mars Hill, which is in Athens, not Rome, as some people might believe. But yeah, it was amazing.
Maggie we had a Bible question one night after Maggie had got back from Mars Hill, and it was, where was Mars Hill? And she said Rome. I was like, Maggie, you just got.
Oh yes,
such confidence.
Sounds like something I would say too. Yeah,
she'd been there like a week earlier.
Right. Well, you've been so many places. It's hard to keep them all up.
And I know what happened. I was thinking Mars Hill, and I was thinking, oh, Mars, Roman god, must be Rome. Mm-hmm. Never occurred to me that's where I was in Greece.
Yeah.
Oh.
So.
Well, what kind of stuff did you bring for us to look at, Dr. Hill?
Well, I've been very privileged. I learned to do archaeology, Native American archaeology, and I got a MA in history years ago, and North Georgia, and so I started, doing excavation about Indians. But then I met a man who is a professor at Harding University, Dr. Dale Manor. I met him at the Freed-Hardeman lectureship one year, and he said, Garry, since you know how to dig, why don't you start going with me to Israel? So all of these things come from our dig site in Israel, and most of them I have dug up personally. And one of the things I learned to do pretty early on, and it became my job, was to date things. We date things in archaeology in the ancient Near East through pottery, because pottery changed over the centuries. So I have a pretty good sized vase, about the size of a Coke can here, from the time of Isaiah. I have a Bible oil lamp that people use. This would have been in probably a small kid's bedroom from the time of Jesus.
So that's like burnt around the end. And that's somebody's used that,
somebody's used it, yes. We found this, and we found this in part of a home that had been destroyed during earthquakes. It's even got some really cool symbols. They would make all kind of symbols and everything on the back of this. This probably would have been an honored child's nightlight, and it would just sit in his bedroom. And then I have a little vase, not vase, but a bowl from the time of Abraham. And one of the things we do in archaeology is we show that a lot of skeptics will say things, people were very, very ignorant in Bible times and not very scientific, not very smart, but they were amazing people. Well, of course, the great example of that, how did they build the pyramids?
Yeah.
Well, engineers can't even figure out how they did it. And this is from the time of Abraham, and it's very beautiful and minute. And we're not really sure what it was for, but it's really cool. And then we have another juglet from the time of Abraham. And
That's for moonshine, right?
yeah, it does. It looks like an old Kentucky, Tennessee moonshiner jug, and but they wouldn't have gotten too drunk with it. It's so small, it doesn't hold very much. But
So that's what they're making in the wilderness.
right, that's true. Make it through the wilderness. But pottery is so exciting because it's how we date things, and it just shows us how they lived and makes us more connected to them as people. And that's one of the cool things about going on digs.
So how did they make like the one you said you didn't know exactly what it
Right,
was?
this one right here?
The old one. You said that's from the time of Abraham?
Abraham, yes.
So
yes, sir.
so just put that in perspective. If somebody doesn't have their timeline just straight in their head, how old is that piece of pottery?
2000 BC.
2000
Abraham
BC.
And so
So that's 4,000 years old.
Yes, sir. And Abraham, they excavated his hometown, one of the most famous archaeological digs from the British Museum. And Abraham's hometown they had apartments running water. They had all kind of super modern stuff, beautiful jewelry. We found burials with jewelry, and Sarah could have really been decked out in earrings and necklaces and bracelets. And so they were very, very modern. And this would have been made, they had a class of people who were potters, and that's all they did. That was their job. And this would have been made on a little wheel, and they would have taken the pottery, and we're just fascinated. This has a symbol on the back of it too, and it could have been the potter's seal, the family of potters that maybe they bought this from. The painting on it is very gorgeous, and again, it's 4,000 years old.
Wow.
And it would have been a special thing in someone's house. But we don't know what for. Maybe incense. They would have burned incense on it, or just frankincense or something like that to make things smell better as a spice. But
So-
it's really neat.
How did they make that? Y'all have been doing pottery with the kids, haven't you?
Yes.
We're doing our VBS
Yes.
this week.
Yes, yes.
And
Yes, and last night was our kind of mold me like the potter's clay from Jeremiah. I think Jeremiah, yeah.
Yeah.
So we did clay crafts. We did a whole little talk show, and we had potters come on and what they did and what they
Cool.
sold. And then I forgot what the class was. I think it was just kind of how they can be made with purpose.
Mm-hmm.
It was a construction
Yes,
class.
it's
They had like
construction.
blueprints and hard hats.
Well, here's what I learned one
The
year.
engineer, the
We
architect.
went
When
to
was that?
I got excited.
Pottery.
Oh well, y'all. Well, the people that did this stuff were, but look how intricate this is. This is from 750 BC, but even the handles have little ridges on them, and just the way they made. But notice it's not exactly 100% balanced, and but we went to a museum one time in Israel. And what's fun is we dig 5 days a week, and then 2 weeks we get to explore the country, which is just go anywhere. We went to a Bedouin village, and they were still making pottery just like they did in Abraham's time.
Wow.
And you know what? I came back and I talked to some churches and Bible camp. I speak at Bible camp a lot on archaeology. And one of the ladies was a potter, and she said, that's what we still do. So you're asking the question how they did this? Exactly the way potters do it today. They may have an electric wheel, and they would use foot power for their wheels, but they do it just like we do.
So
today.
these are like spun.
Spun,
You can
right.
like do coil pots or pinch pots, but
Yes.
these are actually put on a wheel and
Uh-huh.
interesting.
I've got I should have brought it. Maybe next time I can. I've got a a bigger bowl that has the thumbnail of the maker in the back, and that's how he showed it was his, and that was pretty cool. So yeah, but they would, and in their civilization, a potter was a very important person because they were always breaking stuff, and we find a lot of pottery piles, and it's really fun. At the end of the dig every year, we're able to just go through the pile and pick up really cool looking handles and sherds and stuff, and come home with them. So that's a lot of fun. So I have a big sack of just broken pottery at home, and yeah.
Somebody
Maybe bring it sometime and let the kids all play with it.
That's
Yeah.
great. That's great. Hey, so these all kind of have a little different look to them, and I know that around here we've got like Native American Indian pottery. Sometimes
Yes.
you can find that if you're in the creek or things.
Definitely.
And if you had a piece of Native American Indian pottery, could you tell that was from here versus somewhere
From like
in,
Iowa or California.
Well,
Yeah,
no,
yeah.
I mean, really, can you tell that was from here rather than
Oh, yeah.
Israel?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And so there's
Yeah,
just
I learned to do, like I said, I learned to do archaeology. I got an MA in history and archaeology at Jacksonville State University, and I worked in the lab for 3 years while I was doing that, and I just love pottery. I just think it's so cool, and I was able to translate that when I started going to Israel, and yeah, you can tell, and the reason we date things like oil lamps changed. The oil lamps during David's time were different than they were during the time of the prophets, Isaiah. Oil lamps during the time of the intertestamental period, from the end of Malachi, the beginning of Matthew, are different than the oil lamps during Jesus' time. And even oil lamps during Paul's time are different than they were in Jesus' time. So they were always changing their way they made them. And also today, hey, we'll take, if you've got a lamp like this and you really want to know when it comes from, they can break a piece off, which is horrible to do. I wouldn't want to do it. And they can put it in a spectrometer and tell you and date it that way.
wow.
And they can also tell where they got the pottery. Like I was going to bring it, I broke it 2 or 3 times, put it together 2 or 3 times. I have the most beautiful vase this big that was from the island of Cyprus. And it's, these things, I mean, like, hold this, that's,
Don't drop it,
they're
Jackson.
heavy. They're heavy.
Jackson, that's.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, you are. Oh
I was
no.
joking myself.
She
That's
almost
okay.
Maggie,
Hey,
you are
hey,
almost
yeah,
fine.
See?
You're good. See?
You're worried about me, Thomas.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Jack's about dropping
I
it.
know,
Worried
it's
about
my fault.
I'm glad we're over here. I don't want no
those
part of it.
things are heavy.
They are.
This vase from Cyprus is this tall, and I mean, you could blow it over. It's so light. So it was so thin, and whoever made that, and the people from Cyprus, we know they traded with Cyprus, the island of Cyprus, during the Bible time. That would have been something that would have been in a nobleman's house. I mean, it was just like super, super expensive, super important, and but everyday pottery like these guys, I mean, thick, as thick as they could be, and they would use them. They used pottery for everything. Pottery was the Tupperware of the ancient world.
So,
Yeah.
how would that evolve? You said that it evolved, kind of. Is that because they got better at it, or it was used for different things, or just different people did it different ways?
Different people did it different ways. They did get better at it. Early pottery from Abraham's time, they probably had a table that they could move and shape. And then later on, they got the foot thing where, a woman could sit there, a man could sit there and rub his foot, and his top of the table would move, and he could shape. And then they even had some places they found where they'd get a donkey to go in a big giant circle, and it would turn the thing. And this would be a place that would make tons of pottery all day long. It'd be like a factory. And
That's amazing.
Yeah.
It's just amazing to me to think for a moment that piece of pottery from Abraham's time,
yeah,
that is likely the oldest man-made object that I'll ever see.
yeah.
That's
And
it's
what's
crazy.
fun is, Thomas, what's really fun is to bring my little sack of pottery, and it's still got dirt on it because we have to clean things. It's one thing when you find things on the dig site, you bring them to the table and you clean. And we use toothbrushes and scrub everything, wash and scrub, and it's really fun to bring a bag of pottery, and kids will take it out, look at it, because it's all broken. It's okay for them to do it. And then there's always one child that will sneeze because it's dirty.
Uh-huh.
And I say, bless you, that's a Bible sneeze. You're breathing Bible dust, and you got and they look at me. Their mothers used to look at me like, you're an idiot.
I wish you'd have brought the bag. We're kids. We can be kids. You can do that with us.
Kids, I know. I never grew up myself, but
I have a question. How do you make it through customs, U.S. Customs?
That's why we have bullwhips. All of us have bullwhips.
So you got the hat,
have the Indy hat,
the hat and the bullwhip.
get away, and we run to the plane and get on, and we get away from it.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah. No. If you were just a tourist and found this and tried to get through customs, you'd still be there.
Okay.
We would visit you in Israel for the rest of your life. What we do when we're on a dig and we get things, the Department of Antiquities comes at the end of the dig.
Okay.
And they'll look at everything, and a lot of times they'll give us stuff. Like on the dig, we may have had 7 of these one year. So they'll keep 5 of them and then say, you can keep that one. You found it. You can keep it. And then they give us a sheet of paper, which basically says...
So basically it
this
certifies you
right,
agree. Okay.
Right. And that's how we get by with it, yeah. And we also have vests with a lot of pockets in them, though.
Not that you've ever used one, right?
No,
Yeah.
I would never do that.
Not that you ever realized that.
So you know, people. Maggie, next time you're in Jerusalem, there, if you find
Jerusalem.
something,
Yeah, right.
You got the contacts now.
All right.
Well, see, I'm going to get to go to Rome myself. I was telling Maggie that I was, and with a tour of students, and I'm going to teach some and all this kind of stuff. And I definitely want to bring a bunch of stuff. I don't have anything from Rome, and I want to bring some stuff back. And since we're going to be with an official tour, maybe I can, and you can talk about yours, all your cool stuff.
Because I'm not saying I do have several rocks from other countries,
Oh,
but
yeah.
I do have many things that I brought
Yeah.
back.
Right. And we do. Well, I do too. I have a box full of rocks. Yeah, and I label them. And by the way, I have a friend who's did Vacation Bible School like y'all, a gospel preacher in Kentucky. He called me up this last week. He said, "Brother Gary, bring me your rock." And I said, "What?"
Which one?
Yeah.
Lot to choose
And
from.
he
Specific.
said, "You got a rock from the Valley of Eli where David fought Goliath."
I have one bag, you.
Yeah. And I have one too. And I had been at their congregation and talked to them one Sunday morning about archaeology. And he wanted that rock because he was going to Vacation Bible School, and he wanted to show the kids the rock. So that's really cool.
That's
neat.
Yeah.
Did you do one at White Bluff up here?
Oh yeah, with Doug. Yes.
With Doug,
Yes.
where y'all like let the kids dig through dirt or something?
Yeah, we're doing that in our Vacation Bible School next week, and I have a dig plan and everything, and we bury things in layers, and you can order Bible artifacts, Bible oil lamps, Bible coins, Bible everything, bury them, and the kids love it. The parents love it too during Vacation Bible School, but the kids keep digging when they come to church the weeks after that, and they go out in our yard in their Sunday best, and Mom and Dad find them out there in the dirt digging, still.
Man,
And
we got to do that.
So
That's
you're
so
busy.
cool.
All right, let's look at next year's calendar.
yeah, okay, yeah.
Wow, that is cool.
It's really fun, and we even build little cities for them to discover. Yeah, and bury them. You have to bury it.
Maggie's blown away,
and,
isn't she?
uh,
Maggie just it's hard to
I know what you're
it's
right
hard to
now.
outdo
Yeah,
Maggie, but she's she's feeling a little one up right now. So
Yeah.
He's
No.
already
Outsource-
planning for next year.
Outsource
Yeah.
next year.
Okay, yeah.
That's great.
Yeah.
So what kind of other stuff is going on like right now as far as archaeology? I mean, you're the guy in the know. So what's the new news out there?
Well, I've got 10 things I was going to share with you, but before we do that, the first and the greatest thing that this friend of mine that I'm going to Rome and Paul's Journeys with, he was part of this dig in Shiloh a couple of years ago. They were digging, and then one of the guys that was digging with them had found at Mount Gerizim the tablet, the small, about this big tablet with the Shema on it. And
Wow. Is this this little silver one?
Yes.
Really? You know them?
Yeah, I know them. And
Wow.
It's the oldest Hebrew writing that we have, and it was during the time of Joshua, curse tablet, and then they found the curse tablet a little later on, and if you remember Deuteronomy 18, it talks about the curses and the blessings of keeping the
curses,
covenant.
yeah.
They found a tablet with the curse on it, so it would have been an Israelite that carved this, and that's really exciting because used to, and a lot of it's gone away. People still try to be skeptical, but early 50 years ago, people would say things like, Moses didn't write the Pentateuch because there was no writing back then. Well, now they found numerous tons of writing, a lot of it in the Sinaitic Peninsula, and of course Moses wrote when they were around Mount Sinai. They would say things like King David, one of the great blessings of my life, Thomas, and I'm sure I talked about this, and Thomas has been in class with me, New Discoveries in Bible Archaeology, and finding King David's palace. 5 years ago they found it. They never did find it, and people would say, well, David probably didn't live in Jerusalem. They believed he lived, but he was sort of kind of out and fighting Saul and everything. He never captured the city like the Bible says he did. Well, then now they found his palace, and the lady that found it, she's an Israeli archaeologist, very sad. She passed away last year. She got cancer and passed away, but she was a believer. And a lot of Israeli archaeologists are not believers, but some are. She was a believer, and she found King David's palace, which is amazing confirmation that the historical story about King David in Scripture is true. And we got to know her, Dale and I. We excavated 12 miles from Jerusalem, and we would go into Jerusalem just about every weekend, and that was so cool to meet her.
So stuff like that, how often or how long before like the public could go over there? Maggie, did you see any of that stuff while you were there?
Yeah, I think we went through King David's palace.
Yeah.
I went
Okay.
last May for a 2-week Israel, Egypt, Jordan, Palestine, biblical studies, biblical worldview trip with my professors.
Yeah.
And I think we did King David's palace, and then we walked through Hezekiah's tunnel.
Right.
And then we saw
Again, another archaeological confirmation because of the Shalom inscription and everything. Yeah.
I want to do that. I want to wade through the water. I want to go under Jerusalem. That would be so cool.
Go on a road
really
trip,
is.
guys.
Yeah.
A podcast trip.
Let's do it. Let's really
Think
do
the
that.
church will support us.
Let's go. Let's all go, and we'll just do a podcast live from the streets of Jerusalem.
I like that
Here's
idea.
Thomas
I support that idea.
and his college kids and Mr. Gary. And the streets of Jerusalem.
That's very good.
Yeah.
Very good.
I think
Jackson, get on that, please.
Get on that. Raise the funds for us.
Okay.
Yes.
I'll start talking to
that's
the
cool,
deacons.
you
My
went
dad's
on
a
that
deacon.
tour.
I'll start talking.
There you go.
Yeah.
One's
May,
already
and
said
has,
yes.
like an Israel tour guide book that he's publishing.
Yeah.
And he published it in October of last year.
Oh, wow.
So-
And so you got the book, and it
He gave
reminds
us
you
a-
of all the different.
Yes, he gave us an
things you
advance
saw.
copy, so we got to
Yeah.
write down every day where we
Oh,
went,
that's
what
so
we saw.
cool.
It was
Yeah.
amazing. I loved it.
Yeah. I got to go years ago when I was first started grad school at Freed Hardeman. I went back to Freed, but that was so long ago. That was when they were just beginning to discover things. back, in the 1800s. So,
1800.
been a long time. Yeah,
I'm just gonna accept it there for a minute.
I know. Yeah, right. Of course. Yeah.
That's what the kids say about us now. Like,
Oh.
they were born in the 1900s. The
really old. I
1900s.
know. You're old, Maggie.
Yeah.
Hey,
Oh.
22.
Watch it.
So
Can
old.
y'all believe that? Yeah. Yeah.
You got to know this crew too. We joke about like going, just picking up and going.
Yeah.
Maggie and Sydney, they'll sit here and talk about going somewhere. Like, hey, there's a show playing in New York, and they'll go. Like, they'll buy
We
tickets.
did exactly that. We talked
did
about it on the
exactly
podcast. We were
Yeah.
like, I was like, man, I really want to go there. And then the next week we got tickets and went.
They went to
Yeah.
New
2 weeks
York.
later.
That
like,
is
all
so
right.
cool. Y'all are neat. All right.
So
Yeah.
we may be in,
We
I
may
don't know,
be in
Tel Aviv
Israel
next
or-
week.
I mean,
so.
I
think we should
did
do it.
contact a couple of tour companies in Israel last June, but then everything happened and we never got to go. But I still have their numbers. I still got their emails.
If you
We can
want
set
to
this
know,
up.
Yeah.
if you want to know a good tour company, I got to go with Mike Green. The last time I was in
Yes.
Israel, I was with Mike Green, who was director of the National School
Yes.
of Preaching, was up until this year. And Mike and I we were on our way to do a mission trip in Africa, and we were teaching at a college there. But I said, Mike, let's stop somewhere on the way. Well, Africa, think about it. Africa's down here. Israel's right here. U.S. is over here. You fly over Israel to go to Africa. You fly over Greece. So we went to Athens and Corinth
Okay.
and worshiped with the church there. And the guy that is the minister of the church, he has a tour guide company, and he goes all over the Middle East. And he's a
That's
member of the
awesome.
church. He's a great guy. Gave us great deals. So it may be the same people y'all
Right.
used, but
Wow.
it was really neat. Mike and I really enjoyed that. Yeah.
Man, that's
And,
neat. Did y'all go to Egypt? Who did Mike go to Egypt with? Was that you or Mike?
No. I've been to Egypt. I was supposed to go to Egypt, and then the war started.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
then I couldn't go. They because Hamas was not letting their people go into Egypt. We were afraid that if we got to Egypt, they'd shut down the flights and everything.
Hey,
And-
why don't you got to tell us about going to the Dome of the Rock.
Okay.
Tell them, because this is great. So, Maggie,
Okay.
you've been there. You kind of,
Yes.
y'all know what we're talking about, right?
Well, Maggie, I was telling
Let's
Maggie.
assume
let me
the
tell all of y'all.
audience does not know what the Dome of the Rock is.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Tell them what the Dome of the. Pull it up, and we'll show them
Yeah,
a picture of it here. So,
Yeah.
It's the big temple in Jerusalem that kind of overlooks the whole city.
Yeah.
Oh,
you always
okay.
see it in the pictures, the Golden Dome. That's it.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay, I know what that is.
It's
Okay.
on the.
I thought it was like a monument.
I think Capital One, their credit card commercial. It's
Yeah.
featured like their final
Yeah.
image.
no way.
Well,
It's
I'm,
either Capital. It's one of the credit card companies that has like the travel benefits, and it's just like a split second that you see it.
So that
Okay.
is basically where the Old Testament temple was
right,
standing.
where Solomon's temple was, and I'll tell you the story why the Muslims say it's there in a second. But see that door right there on the picture? If you could see that door, Christians and others who are not Muslims cannot go in there. It's for the Muslims only. Well, I was with a group. I was with Mike on this trip. This was with back to Israel, and it was really cool. We went in February. I've never been when it wasn't summertime, and it's cold. It really is cold. I mean, and which was really weird to be in Israel and be cold. Well, anyway, one day I'm direction dysfunctional. I get lost. My church worries about me. I even have an elder that has me on his phone because he worries about me getting back home from Nashville every week, because I get lost. And so, okay, here we are. We're on this trip, and we going to walk around in the old city. Okay, that day, that was our day. So, begin the morning. The bus stopped. Everybody got off the bus. Went through one of the gates, the Dome Gate. Okay? So, I'm about to walk through the gate and I go, oh man, I forgot something. In the bus. So I went back to the bus. And then I came back out. And they were gone.
Oh no!
Where they were.
Oh no!
My whole troop,
Oh, no.
my whole group was gone. So for 15 minutes, I kept asking people, "Y'all seen this group with this many people?" And people were looking at me like, you idiot. There's hundreds of people going through here.
Be more specific.
No, I mean, yeah, no, we haven't seen them. So after about 20 minutes, I thought, well, I'm lost. But I do remember we were supposed to have lunch at the Church of the Holy Sepulchre. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
And I've been in Jerusalem before. None of the group had. I'm the only one in the group that had ever been to Israel. So I start wandering around. I thought, well, I'm going to have fun. I'm going to wander around. Well, anyway, I get in this line that goes up to the Dome of the Rock. Okay, and anybody can go around the outside. Okay, so I'm up there by myself and I'm bopping around and everything, and I see people going inside. And so I peek my head in, and this guy's sitting there on his table like this. He looks at me and he goes, "Are you Muslim?" I go, "No." He said, "Are you a Christian?" I said, "Yeah." He said, "Can you take your shoes off?" I said, "Oh, yeah." "Can you take your hat off?" "Yeah." He said, "Put it right there and you can come in." And I got to go in. Well, I was in there, y'all, I got to see the rock itself.
Wow.
And I'm wandering around with all these Muslims and they're praying. And God bless you, whatever. But all it's not real. But anyway, never mind. But, I'm just bopping through there. And, they are very devout and God bless them. But, so I get out and then I'm looking at my watch. I'm going, well, I'll probably meet the group. It's getting lunchtime-ish. So I go down through the old streets of Jerusalem, and everywhere, all these people see me. I'm by myself, but I've got my hat on, right? American Indiana Jones. So here we go. I'm bopping down the street, going through the old city, heading toward the Church of the Holy Sepulchre. And people would yell out and say, "Hey, where are you from?" These shop owners. And I would say, "America." And they would say, "Where?" And I would say, "Kentucky." And they would say, "Chicken." Everyone said that.
Everybody knows the Colonel. Everybody knows the Colonel.
So I met the group, and I mean, y'all, I was shocked. I was hurt to the core. A lot of my group was mad at me for going into the Dome of the Rock because they'd never gotten to go. But anyway, that was fun.
You were just tore down about it.
I was hurt to the core. I really was.
See, Gary is the kind of guy you want to go on a trip with because there's no telling what you're going to get into,
So
right?
that sounds like fun. Sign me up.
Yeah, okay.
Like I'm not that way, Gary. I'm the rule follower.
Okay.
Everything
Yeah.
you got to do just like I would never be in that
Don't say
situation.
he's not, right?
I mean, you look like you know what you're doing. I would follow you through the streets of Jerusalem.
All right, thank you. Yeah, it was fun. It was really neat, and I want to go back. I want to go back to Jerusalem. We can't right now. I have been invited to go to Shiloh next year if things calm down. Go excavate at Shiloh, and that's where they found the curse tablet and all that. And
Okay.
it's going on. It's a pure American dig. Most digs today in Israel are run by Israelis. There's less and less American digging there today, which, because they've been trained to now. And we originally trained them, back in the 30s and 40s, American professors. But
So
it's really neat.
So what's in Shiloh that didn't the Ark stay in Shiloh for a while?
The Ark stayed in Shiloh for many, many years. They have found the place where the Ark was. They have excavated that. They have excavated and found numerous sacrificial piles of bones and everything. And of course, they were always offering the sacrifices.
Can I clarify Ark of the Covenant or Noah's Ark?
Right.
Okay,
Ark of the Covenant.
Oh
Yeah.
yes, yeah.
Clarifying that one.
Yeah. And it's really an amazing dig. And the group that's doing it, my friend that I'm going to go with, I'm talking about from Kentucky that does the free group, and he's involved with them, and I've been invited to, and I know the guy that does it. Stephen Ortiz at Lipscomb is dug at Gaza, which is a Philistine city, and I've seen all of his pottery and and heard him lecture numerous times. I'm very privileged. I'm a member of the Associates of Biblical Research, which is the National Archaeology, Bible Archaeology people, and I go to the professional meetings every year. So at those meetings, all the archaeologists tell the latest, greatest stuff.
Oh, cool.
And so it's really fun. And
So when was the meeting this year?
the meeting was in Fort Worth, Texas this year. In November of 2024, this coming year, it's going to be in San Diego. And I'm going to
Okay.
go to that. And I always room with my professor, Dr. Ortiz is there. My friends. It's a real small community. There's only, probably in America, there's probably only maybe 100 archaeology professors all over America that do Bible archaeology. So we all get to know each other, and they know me, and I know them.
So everybody kind of gets in the loop on like all the new stuff.
Oh,
Kinda like what's going.
Oh,
so you know,
yeah.
you
And
kind of know what's going on.
They do like Stephen Ortiz. Well, he just got back from Tel Burna, I think's where he's digging now, which is sort of kind of close to the Sea of Galilee up there. It's a small village. They all talk about what they found this year.
Man,
And
that's
you
neat.
know.
I think I'd love to go just to the Sea of Galilee, just to be out on it and see what it's like. Did you?
Mm-hmm. We
Yeah.
did a boat ride.
Yeah,
at
of course,
sunrise.
Maggie went.
Did y'all
Yeah.
worship? Did y'all have a worship service?
We did a devotional while we
Yeah.
were on the boat, and
Okay.
then they let us raise the American flag because we had an Army veteran with us.
Right, good. That's great. Yeah.
So that was a lot of fun.
We went on a Sunday and got to even have a whole worship
Oh,
service.
that's cool.
Yeah. And
You know that.
well, you needed some baptisms. You know, you always want. We just
Yeah.
pushed 3 people overboard and claimed them.
Deep water out there, right? Maggie Sydney does that song with the kids, "The Man in the Boat on the Sea of Galilee."
Oh, yeah.
She can do it faster than any
Oh, my
human being
goodness.
alive.
Oh, wow.
It's crazy.
That is so
I
cool.
lose the words every time.
Yeah.
Just like, there's
I can't do it at all. I always forget the hand.
I can't talk.
I did it down
like
in the
that either.
Philippines, and the first
Yeah.
time I did it, they all looked at me like I was nuts. They were like, it was a mistake bringing her here. They loved it by the end of the week,
Yeah.
though.
Maggie,
Even ours don't like it every now and then.
Yeah.
Bro, they were obsessed with it.
Now I don't know if y'all have watched or y'all are watching The Chosen. We're doing that on Wednesday
It's
night.
so
Love the show. I
good.
haven't
It
seen
is
season 4 yet.
Oh,
I haven't seen
I-
season
you
4.
I've
will-
seen everything but
Maggie.
the last one of season 4.
We'll watch
Season
it when we
4
move
is
in.
so
Okay.
emotional. You will cry at the end of every one.
no.
That's how season 1 was for
I
me.
mean, and the worst thing that happens is no, I'm not going to. I'm not going to ready for you.
Spoilers.
Spoilers, guys, be
we
careful.
do it on Wednesday night, and we'll watch half of it, and then we'll stop and have a Bible class, and then we keep doing it that way, and it's just been so good, and we've got a lot of people from the community coming, which is really neat
That's
because
awesome.
we've all announced come with us and watch The Chosen, and they do such a good job with that. Yeah.
Wow, I've never seen it.
What?
I've
Thomas.
I get like antenna TV with 2 channels.
Yeah.
It's on DVD.
Oh,
It's
so-
also
yeah,
free. The
yeah,
app
it's
is free.
Download
The app is free.
the
You
app,
can download
just
it
the
while
you're
chosen,
here. You could probably pull it
chosen
up on
app,
here.
and you can have it on your computer.
Come on,
Okay.
Thomas. You gotta get on top of that.
Yeah.
Jackson,
Yeah.
quit giving me heat,
Yeah,
man.
yeah.
I'm not doing it in front of people. I'm not crying in front of anybody.
Yeah,
So
Well,
you want to
I
watch?
tell you what's bad is we all start crying and then they turn the lights on and I have to stand up and start talking. I know tonight's lesson we were looking. You know, they go, yeah, you're ugly, Gary. You sit down, man. Yeah. Oh,
All right, Jackson, you want to watch it together?
I'll ugly cry with you.
Okay.
yeah. Hey,
Man.
it's man crying. It's
It
not,
is.
I mean, you
It's
still.
really good.
Oh, it's
Jesus
so good.
manly.
That's the hardest
crying.
stuff, though. That's the hardest stuff. You know,
Yeah,
It's so good.
There's one
Not
scene
okay.
with Peter. Oh my. Oh. I just get chills thinking about it. Peter just. Oh, Peter, I love it. I love Matthew. Matthew's
Matthew's so
Matthew
good.
is
so
adorable.
cool.
Oh, and Sons of
Every time I now
Thunder.
read Matthew and I'm thinking of him. I'm going, yeah, I can see. Okay, Matthew, I see you doing this. Yeah, it's really cool.
wow.
Very historically accurate. The guy that does it, his father is a very famous, I've heard his father lecture, evangelical, Bible believing, conservative scholar, written a lot of amazing stuff. They try to stay very true to the scripture, and it's just a lot of people are watching it all over the world. It's really opening up a lot of doors.
It's converting
for
a lot of
evangelism,
people. I
converting a
think
lot of people.
the actor who
Yeah.
plays Jesus used to be Catholic, and he converted
Yeah.
now after
Oh,
doing
right.
it. And I
Yeah,
think
he's
same
converted.
for
Yeah.
Mary
Wow.
Magdalene. She wasn't a
Mhm.
believer, and now she is.
Yes, yes.
Wow.
Yeah, I love Mary. Mary's precious.
I love her.
I want to marry Mary.
I don't know about that.
Sorry. Yeah. We're not supposed to get personal on this podcast. Yeah.
So man, we're really covering the bases, aren't we? Man? We've gone
We
on
can do
a
a
lot
whole
of
chosen
stuff.
episode.
I've wanted to. Sorry.
I mean, that would be an excellent
I've been
idea.
That would
advocating
be-
for that for so long.
I wish you'd said something.
Talk to the
Sydney.
producer.
Yeah.
I
mean,
haven't
come
been invited back for months.
I wonder why.
The one time I was out of the country. Sorry, guys.
Yeah.
I have a whole list of ideas though, and The Chosen was one of them.
Yeah.
We should watch it.
Gary does work in the Philippines too.
Oh, really?
So he just got back a while ago, and
got
Sydney
back.
just got back, what,
Oh,
2
did
weeks
you
ago?
really? Where
Yeah,
you
it's
go?
about,
Where'd you
we
go?
went to Cebu Island.
Okay.
So specifically
the
to the
island is so
Bogo
beautiful.
congregation. Yeah.
We're north of
Manila?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And it's really pretty. It's on the bay where MacArthur came back from in World War II, which was really neat. And they've got a statue.
Okay.
We have 2 big giant orphan homes and a school of preaching, and I go and teach in the school of preaching. And during the when I'm home, like now, I also teach on Sunday night. I teach late Sunday night, which is their Monday morning at the school of preaching.
Oh, that's cool.
So
That's
it's
so
pretty
cool.
neat. And but they are I love the Philippines.
They're the most generous
Yeah,
people I've ever
so
met.
slow,
They're so good.
eager and hungry and for the truth. It's really neat. Yeah. And the orphans, all the kids call me Daddy Gary because I think they want me to be their daddy.
Yeah.
Bring them back home with me, and they call all the guys Daddy, whatever their name is.
They
And,
do that. They call it mom, and
Yeah, ma'am.
they say mom.
Ma'am Josie, and I'm Sir Gary. My
Sir
students
Gary, yeah.
call me Sir, and they would call y'all Ma'am.
They also called me Auntie a lot for Big Sister.
Yeah.
And I can't remember
Really?
what Big Brother. It starts with a C.
Koyo?
Koyo.
Koya or
Koya.
Koyo?
Koya.
Yeah.
I think it's
Koya,
Koya.
yeah.
So
heard
me
that
and
a
the
lot.
2 boys that were my age that went, they called us all Auntie and Koya. And so they'll still text me and they always say Auntie in front of my name.
Yeah. I have a tutor that's the librarian. And I always write her Ma'am Josie and all that. And it's just, they're precious. I love that.
That's
I
neat.
want to retire there. I want to just go live there when I'm old. Live on one of those islands.
That's what
That'd be
I think
cool.
Mary and Roger. I think the first time they went, Roger was like, Mary, let's buy some land down here. Let's move down here.
There or Israel one of the other would
Mm-hmm.
be cool. Yeah. But I hope it'd be years from now.
Well, that's okay. I like the people in the Philippines. We've got a really close relationship with them, and
Oh, Thomas, that's great.
Sydney went with the group this year, and we hope that we're going to get more people to go next year. Let's do it. Let's go to Israel and then the Philippines.
Okay.
Let's Jackson, you just and your request put that in there too. So we can,
Yeah.
Just,
Okay.
just a little list
he's
of things
the
we
financial
want. Nothing
manager
big.
of the group.
Yeah, I got
Probably
Well,
responsible for
I
that.
do know this great group that does Israel trips. It's the ones Freed Faulkner used, and they're just great and brothers in Christ, and we can go, guys. We can go. Maybe your group, maybe the same one. It would surprise me.
We used Lawrence Tours, I think.
Okay,
Because I got the
okay.
nice little baseball cap that says
Lawrence
official
Tours.
Lawrence
Oh,
Tours.
yeah,
And then I was
yeah.
talking to Sarel online.
Yeah. Well, this is called. What is this called? I'll find out. I'll get back to you. I'm sorry.
Send it to Jackson. He's
Yeah.
planning it for
Yeah.
us.
You should be writing this stuff down,
Just
Jackson.
email it to me. Yeah.
Well, you know what's amazing, y'all? I found this. People go, and I was a youth minister at home, my home congregation for years after I first started preaching here, moved home. And I was youth minister, and we would go to Honduras and Nicaragua, and I would take our teenagers every year, and it was so cool. And but what's so cool is people go to Disney World, they go all these places, spend all this money. Man, you can fly to Israel for $1,000 and this group, I mean, you can see everything in Israel in a week almost, can't you?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it doesn't take you long to see the major stuff. That's another $300. That's not bad. Cheaper than going to Disney World, right? Yeah, with 5 people or whatever, your family. Yeah.
I'd love to go up to places like up in the Jezreel Valley
Oh yeah.
and up in the mountains up there. I'd love to
Mike
just,
and
I'd
I
love to
love
see
that.
it.
Mike said that was his favorite thing this time. We were in the Jezreel Valley and we went up to Mount Carmel. I mean, that is so moving. I mean, you think, okay, he's defending God's people against these 450 prophets of Baal, but just the I don't know, just being at these places makes it special, doesn't
Yes,
it? Yeah.
very much.
Yeah, it's just wow. It's just people who go to Israel are almost closer to going to heaven than those who haven't. So, but we need,
Right now.
yeah. No, I'm kidding.
You're in trouble with the preacher.
I know. Yeah. But he's going.
Sorry,
though.
I've not
He's
been.
going, so, yeah.
One of these days,
Yeah.
maybe. One of these days. Kane wants to go too. One of our deacons really.
Well,
We
yeah.
talk about it.
Add it on the list.
Put it on the
All
list.
right.
Put Kane
All right.
down.
Kane is
I
our.
mean, y'all give me some dates. I'll start asking around.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, we can get this going.
Yeah. Well, there's all kind of stuff that we could talk about. We could do this podcast for like hours and hours on this type of thing.
There
here.
are 10 every year. Every year they come out. The Associates of Biblical Research with 10 of the greatest finds for the year, and I have all of those. All the
Oh,
way
you
back.
got them?
Oh yeah, I got them right here.
Oh,
That's why
let's.
it's on my computer.
Yeah, let's have it.
Yeah, okay.
We want to hear it.
Yeah, okay. Let me find my glasses now.
Do we want to
I've figured
put them
out
up on the
in the last
screen?
couple of years,
we're gonna
y'all.
cast it.
Getting old
Okay,
is not for
awesome.
sissies. No, sorry. First amazing find this year. They went in and you went to the Church of the Holy Sepulchre.
Yes, we did. Middle of the day. I've never seen so many people in my
Oh,
entire
it's
life.
one of the crazy. I mean, it's crazy to be in there. The history, from Constantine's time, Helena, who found the church, but the early Christians were already worshiping there. They've continued to excavate. They've even excavated Jesus' tomb, and again found further confirmation that this was a first century tomb. And they now have completely excavated Joseph of Arimathea's tomb, because when he gave Jesus his tomb, after Jesus was resurrected, he didn't want to be buried there, so he built another tomb. And we got to go in there and talk to some of the archaeologists. And there's a special that Discovery Channel does. Dale and I, my friend who's an archaeologist, we got to talk to her, and she is doing a new special now about the digging there in the Church of the Holy Sepulchre. We found archaeological evidence last year of Solomon and Sheba in Jerusalem, and again, there's been debates for years where even Sheba was from. We think she was from Saudi Arabia, a country in Saudi Arabia, and an ostracon, is a piece of pottery with writing on it. An ostracon has been found, and it talks about trade with her country and Israel. So that's exciting. We just and that's the thing I tell people when I talk to kids and college students and everybody about archaeology. Our faith comes by hearing, and hearing by the Word of God. You don't have to have archaeology to have faith, but archaeology helps illustrate our faith and illuminates our faith. And this is, we believe in Solomon and Queen of Sheba, but this is confirmation that, now we can see and look at something that has that.
One of the things that I think that's interesting when you talk about the first point that you were dealing with, there's so much skepticism, I think, from people like me that have not been there,
Yeah.
that looks at some of that evidence and says, well, that's a tourist trap.
Yeah.
They don't know that that's really the case.
Right.
But what you're saying is there's actual evidence that supports those things.
That,
that
supports the tourist trap. And it is very touristy. It's frustrating. And, you know, our joke is, especially when we're out in the country on the weekends, and we see mound after mound after mound that hasn't even been excavated yet. They're still telling what they're going to find in the next few years. But a lot of these places, the minute, especially in the medieval era, the Middle Ages, Crusaders coming over there, they would stick a church over it. And it's frustrating because, like in the Garden of Gethsemane, they have this great, huge Greek Orthodox church. Come on, leave the trees and let's walk among the trees. And you still can some, but, you know, it's just, but again, that was their devotion. That was their way of showing their faith. But what happens is, just like this Church of the Holy Sepulchre thing, now, of course, it wasn't that way up until a few years ago, but now they'll allow archaeologists, scientists, archaeology is a science, and they allow scientists to go in there and say, okay, get to the bottom of the floor here and dig around and see what you can find. And they find these things. Like, for an example, in Rome, they have found Peter's tomb. Peter's buried under the altar at the Vatican. And they have gone down to the bottom. I want to get lost there. I want them to lock the doors at 5, leave me in the Vatican, and I'm headed to the basement, buddy. I'm headed downstairs as fast as I can go. And
well, so there have been people that have made the argument, well, Peter couldn't have been the first pope because there was no chance. He probably wasn't ever there. But what you're saying is the reality is
he was there.
He was there. He
Yeah.
was there. It doesn't mean that
was the
doctrine of
pope.
being the pope.
Yeah.
But he was there.
He was in Rome, and so was Paul, and they both were martyred there. And Tacitus, and again, you look at archaeological evidence, historical writing from the time period, like that story. Tacitus says that Nero killed Peter and Paul. He was a Roman historian, and then also they found the tombs of both of those. And same thing. Okay, that's the third one. Real quick, if tell me when it's time to quit.
We got about 7 minutes. So.
Okay, good. The folded lead tablet from Mount Ebla. I wish you could see that. It was an early Israelite curse tablet, 2003, and they have tested it. Some skeptics said no, that was not what it was. Some even said that it was a fishing weight. But now people say, well, why in the world do you have a fishing weight in the middle of Israel, hundreds of miles from the sea? I mean, that's crazy.
Dry fishing.
Yeah, right. Yeah, they were dirt fishing, I guess. But and that, of course, shows two things. It shows the devotion of the Israelites. There it is on the screen, beautiful. And whoever would have made that would have been a master artist. I mean, that's a devotional act of devotion, act of faith, and they would have carried around with them to keep it probably as a necklace and to be able to recite that part of the Torah and Deuteronomy there, and that's one of the great finds, and also early writing, because that was one of the skeptics said 50 years ago, we don't have early writing from the time of Moses. We do, and here this is Joshua's time period.
Doesn't this have like the name of God on it too? Doesn't it have
Yeah,
the Yahweh?
Yahweh.
So it's got Yahweh, and that was one of the criticisms before.
Yahweh was
that.
never used until Moses at the burning bush, and God said, okay, God was called El, he was called Elyon, he was called Elohim, he was called all these things. But when Moses said, God, who do I go back and tell? Pharaoh is asking for the people to go. God told him his personal name. God just means human, just like us saying human. Hi, human. Mm-hmm. But God's name is Yahweh. He told Moses his name. That's his name. His name is Yahweh. And that curse tablet has Yahweh on it, which is just, it makes me just, and we've been there where they found it. Scott Stripling digs with my friend that I'm going on this trip with. And I've heard Scott lecture numerous times. He's from Texas. You know, Texas, they always think everything they do is bigger. But but he's a cool
This is
guy.
true.
Yeah,
This
they
is
do.
very
They really
true.
do.
Sure.
Don't they? Yeah, and but he's a great guy. We found ancient Amorite language. You have the Amorites, you have the Moabites, you have all of these people. Again, during the time when Exodus happened and Israel was beginning to go into getting close to going to the promised land. They didn't get to go at Exodus, did they? But we now have discovered Amorite language. And so writings during the time of the Amorites. And those are some of the big things, top 10 stories of 2023. Well, I'll soon have a top 10 stories of 2024. And the minute I get back from the meetings, I'll come back and we can talk about the top 10 stories of 2024.
Man, that's cool. So your enthusiasm for this has really, it's tuned me into it. So I'm always looking at that stuff, and I think it's
Well,
it's
you were
amazing.
the best student. I just want to say
I
you were
really
the best
was,
student
wasn't I?
I
You know?
ever had. And he was in my class, New Discoveries in Bible Archaeology, and he would bring me an apple every week and everything. It's great.
Just the kind of guy I am.
Teacher's
Yeah,
pet.
right.
Just the kind of guy.
Yeah,
Teacher's
really,
pet,
yeah, that's-
definitely.
You're just amazing.
Not
We can read
surprised.
between the lines.
Yeah, right.
Well, Gary, we're tickled to have you here. Gary had to drive a long. You had to drive a long
2
way.
hours, yeah, it's 2
Yeah.
hours, and but I had a Jeep Wrangler, set up high, big tires, all whole 9 yards. Love my Jeep, right?
Yeah.
Well, I went and got my oil changed the other day, and the guy said, "Gary, you have 200,000 miles on your Jeep, and you need new tires, and your new tires are going to cost you $700-800. But we have this new compasses out here. Why don't you get that?" And
So you got rid of your blue Jeep?
I got rid of my blue Jeep. And
Oh,
now
just
I
like
got a
that?
new Compass. But I know, and I'm gonna miss my blue Jeep.
Yeah.
But driving to Nashville every week, it has the big Navy screen. It's got all the bells
Yeah.
and whistles, and it's still a Jeep. I
Yeah.
mean, I still got forward drive. But
Probably rides a little better than that.
it does ride a little bit because driving home from Nashville every week and hitting all the potholes, I've had to replace so many fillings. And then
It was a cool Jeep though, man. Big
it-
tires, lived.
Yeah,
it was neat. So.
It was, but it was getting old, and I'm getting older, so I decided to grow up and get something a little more appropriate.
Boring.
I know, I'm sorry. I'm boring now, man.
Well, we're glad to have you here, Gary. I appreciate you coming.
Glad to be here, and I've been excited about it since you first asked me. Yeah,
Oh, good.
Thank you, and glad to meet y'all. Y'all are just amazing Christian young adults.
They are.
And future of the church, and there's no telling what God has in store for y'all in your life, and
It really is. That's the best thing
I'm
about this.
blown away,
I wish
yeah.
Houston was here because Houston could.
You would love Houston.
love
You would.
Houston is here.
Yeah.
He
Wait,
is
is there?
here.
He's out there.
Well, let's
Oh,
bring him
well,
in.
he's got to get in here.
Houston's here. He texted me. He said he was here.
Oh man, Houston.
Houston, hi.
Come in.
Hi,
Hey, you got to get
Houston.
over here, and you've got to
Yeah.
get by Jackson there. You're gonna have
Yeah.
to get on one knee there, so we can
Okay,
just say
Houston.
hi.
And by the way,
You have
Houston,
1 minute to
you
tell
really
us
have a
our
cool
story.
shirt. Look at Houston's shirt. Look at my shirt.
Oh
It's
yeah.
pretty for me. It's similar. Yeah, you're the man, buddy.
Houston is he's going to be a Bible major at Faulkner in there, so he
There you
graduated.
Go Faulkner. Yeah.
And Houston knows something about everything.
Okay.
And if he doesn't, he'll make it up.
You'll make it up. Okay.
And you'll never know.
You
But
you would never
You'll
know.
never know the difference.
Absolutely
Sure
not.
or not. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Sounds like a. I was about to mention a politician there. I'm not gonna say. Anyway.
Bill Clinton, I think, was the guy he was thinking of. Bill Clinton. Yeah, you like a
Yeah.
Houston's a big Republican.
Oh,
So,
okay.
yeah.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Well, Houston, I'm glad you made it for the final
Oh, yeah.
50 seconds of the show.
Good show.
Houston, we've been talking about girls and how cute they are. That's what we've been talking about.
No,
What do you
okay.
think about that?
Makes sense, makes sense.
That's a good
Time's up.
response.
Yeah, shame there ain't no cute girls in here.
Oh, that's
no,
cold as ice,
that's-
man. Come on.
Yeah.
You work at the Dollar General, buddy. I don't want to hear it.